Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I've got a question with regards to the multi-threading.
Yeah.
Would I be able to share my screen?
Yes. Give me a sec. Yeah, you can share now.
Okay, just give me a moment. So that's the code for the TCP server, which has multi-threading.
Yeah.
And so we're meant to change that. So this is a TCP server that does multi-threading. So we kind of need to change this code so that it's a UDP server that does multi-threading.
Yes.
Okay. My question is, I'm a little bit confused how to do that. Are you supposed to kind of mimic what TCP does with the listen socket? So for example, with UDP, where is it, server? So with UDP, you have this here. Is that sort of what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
Yes, because
And
yeah,
then
you can do that, but that's not the only thing we need to do.
Yep. Because then you've also got sorry, let me just copy and paste this.
Yes.
Paste, and we'll take that. So instead of this, sort of like that. And would you create another socket?
Yes.
Would you create another socket within here somewhere? For example, within that. So like, would you have, for example, a UDP server? Sorry, would you have a UDP socket listening? And when it receives a response, you're able to get the client address. So you get the host name and you get the port number.
Yeah.
And then you can pass the host number and port number to the client thread. And then within the client thread, you can create a dedicated socket just for that specific client. Is that how you're supposed to go about it? Or am I thinking about it wrong?
Yes, you can do that. Definitely, you can do that. Yeah. So if you have like any problem with that.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. You're very quiet. Oh, actually, give me a second. Let me change my speakers. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I'm done. 2 seconds. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're still very quiet, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, what you were saying? Sorry, I interrupted.
Let me see what happened. Everything. Let me check my microphones. Can't find the problem. Yeah, so is there like any specific question regarding to this? Yeah, your method your method is correct. You can definitely do that.
So I can create a new, so basically I can mimic a TCP connection where I've got one socket, which is like a welcome socket, a welcome socket of TCP. and then I can create a dedicated UDP socket for each client. Is there a better way to do that than that way?
Let me share my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so this one is the client and this one is the server. So now what you're doing is you have like a port number listening on the server side, like for example this one. And once the client connected to it, and it will create a new thread, right? Yeah, you are trying to create a subthread to communicate with it.
Yes.
Is it correct?
And that's what I was thinking, but I was wondering whether there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. But like, what is the like better way in your kind of view, point of view? So this one is like, we can call this one reception, right? The main thread.
Yes.
So it's basically handle the new client. So if we have a new client, we can create a new subthread and handle the communication further. And that's that's how we work. So, but you should also create a port in the client side. So the client also have another thread which can listen on, let's say, this port number. So your incoming message should go to here.
Okay. So
yeah, because you may have some trouble, like if to send the message to the client, like if you don't have this thread, so the client also should be like a kind of server. It will also listen on the port. So once you connect it to the server, you may need to specify which port are you listening on. But of course, you may have different implementation. And this one is just an example.
Okay.
So
you're saying that you have a server which has a socket, which is for the main thread, and it has a port number of, for example, 88888. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then when the client connects to that socket, which is the main thread socket, it creates a subthread. And then that subthread communicates with the client on its socket.
Yes. And this one is the subthread. So the client have its own main thread. For example, this one is the main thread. It's basically for the input, right? Because we have the user input here. So it will handling the user input, and this we have a subthread for the listening. So the client can do the input stuff and do the listening stuff at the same time, and it will not be stuck.
Right. So what you're saying is, just so that I can check that I understand. So you have a server which has a socket, which is the main thread socket with a port number 888. So what happens is the client, it sends a message to this main thread socket. And when the client contacts this main thread socket, this main thread socket is able to get the host name and the port number from the client, and then it can and it can create a subthread. So if it wants to be able to communicate to this, it needs to know the host name of the client, and it needs to know the port of the you need to know the port of the
you need to know this one.
client. So this client has to send what port? Does this client have to communicate to this main thread socket the port number it's going to be using for communication?
Yes. So in here, in the first step, if we want to build a connection, so the client should send like a greeting message to the server, to the main thread here, with its own port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it will specify which port are we listening on for this client. So the server can reply a message in the future, like send a message in the future to here.
Right. And so then if this client, for example, and then if this client, for example, and then the server has received, it has a what's it called? Let me have a look. What does he have in UDP? So the client has, they have a, so they have a client socket. So the server has a client socket and it's receiving on the client socket. Okay, cool. And so when you do that, then you don't have conflict. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Yes, and like, for example, you want to have more features on the client side. For example, you want to send a file, and we can also create a TCP thread in here.
Yeah.
So once you input like the upload stuff, then we will create a new thread, or we can do it like in the main thread as well. But yeah, it's better to create a new thread to build a TCP connection. So it will build a TCP thread, which will also go to the server, probably the main thread. We're asking to build a TCP connection with the server. So the server will also create a new thread like this.
Right. So what happens is you end up having to have two classes, a UDP thread and a TCP thread class.
Yes. So it will create a new thread of TCP and it will connect it to it, just like the TCP and TCP server and TCP clients. Yeah, but that's not the only way to do it. It's just an example. You may have like a better solution, but yeah, this method could work.
Fair enough. No, I want the easiest, and I want the solution that's easiest to implement and takes the less time.
Yes. So probably.
And this one looks like this looks like a good way to do it.
Yeah. So now we have in here is something like this. Let me drag it too. So now what we have is this one. So what we have, I think, is this, right? The example code looks like this. So I suggest you should create the login function at first with this method. So this one is just the example code from the web CMS. And then you just do some implementation at first. So we don't care about the TCP and UDP at first. Let's just do the login function with this one and see how it goes. And if the login function is working, then we try to change this one to UDP thread.
Yep.
And this one also handle the UDP connection. Try to change it to the UDP in this tab. And if it's working, and that's great, we just keep adding new function to it. Right? So we can add the CRT command, the LST command, etc. So yeah, and you get around 70% of the marks by doing like this. And then we come to the we come to the part of the upload and download stuff. Then we need to have the TCP and UDP at the same time. So we just come to here. We just add a TCP thread in here, And of course, the server also need to do some modification in the main thread. So yeah, but it's not very hard, right?
Yeah.
Let's just start from here. Start from here, like try to do the logging function at first, and then transfer from TCP to UDP, see if it's working. Yeah, because at the very beginning, you are not required to like receive any message from the server. So in this model, we are only able to send a message to the server right now. Yeah, but with the logging, it's okay. But you also need to display the result of the logging, right? So you also need to create a new thread here for listening. Yeah, and that's all. That's not very hard. Just do it step by step.
Sorry, a new thread for listening.
Yes.
Is it a new? Is it a new? It's not a new thread. It's it just creates a new socket.
Yeah, of course you can do it. Because why should we have a new thread to like display and listening? It's not only for the like convenient, but also we don't want to this one get stuck, because in here it's handling the user inputs, right? So we need to have a while loop stuff. So what if we don't have any input and we just keep waiting over there, right? So in here we need to have a like subthread to keep listening on the background and print the message from the server side. But yeah, of course you can like do it later. It's not very important at the beginning. Yeah, another thing.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
But because I've kind of finished the assignment, but like after implementing multiple clients, right? I find multi-threading weird. It's like it's kind of building up a communication client by client, right?
Yes.
But after reading the assignment spec, aren't we supposed to do it like user by user?
User by user.
It shouldn't be like, yeah, because it's like it's more focused on each interaction with a user, right? But
yes.
User can be logged on different clients. So I'm just thinking it's like a design thing. So I'm just like a bit confused. So is there like multi-threading? Do you think multi-threading is like the best way to implement the thing?
Yes, of course. We need to have multi-threading both client and server side. But at first, we don't need to have it on the client side, just have it on the server side. But yeah, if you feel it's too hard to do it, probably just have a like single thread at the beginning, because most of the marks for the like only deal with the one client, so it's still fine. So you can find some like UDP. For example, I can find you some example code like this: the UDP simple client and the UDP simple server. You can start with this kind of code. So like if you are copying some code from the GitHub or internet, just put it on the reference, like put the reference at the beginning. So you are saying that.
Would you mind share the link
yes.
in the chat, please? All right, thank you.
Yes, you can play around with this at first if you feel uncomfortable with the like threading stuff, or if you feel it's very hard to transfer from TCP to UDP, like you can do something like that. This one is the simple client and server with the threading. You can try to start with this one, but remember to specify where did you get the code from.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, and this, let's have a look of these slides from last week. We have had a discussion about how to transfer from TCP to UDP. The first one is the initiation, right? So the parameters inside of the initiation is different for the UDP, and of course we need to change the send and receive function to this one. So send to, receive from. It's not very hard. And what's the other thing? I think that's basically all we need to do the change. And of course, that here is an like flow chart. So firstly, do the initiation, this row, and secondly, bind to a port number. Right? So we are listening on the port number, and receive from any client, and we can use send to command to reply it, and finally we close it. And the UDP client is doing the same thing. You can see the difference in the UDP client is the UDP client now is binding on the port right now. So that's the main difference comparing to the TCP one. For the TCP one, I don't think for the client side, we don't need to bind to it, right? So you need to, the main change, I think, is in the client side. And that's the reason we need to do some modification like that, like this. So at the beginning, we may need to specify which ports are we listening on. For the client side.
Would you be able to, oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, you go.
No, my question is, would you be able to explain, because how do I word my sentence? Could you explain why the client needs a subthread again? Sorry, I didn't get that quite.
Yes, in my point of view, the client side need a subthread for listening. So it can get the information from the server, like at any time if the server need to send the thing to the client side, and you will not get stuck for like with the user input. So because in the client side, we may have a main thread asking the user to have some input again and again, right?
Right.
So if the user did not have any input, it will get stuck. So it will have something like the user input equal to input what is your command, something like that in the user side.
Okay, so I think I understand. So I think what you're saying is, and let me know if I understood you properly, what you're saying is you need to have a subthread because your main thread is communicating with the user, but then you also want a subthread so that you can also communicate with the server at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, but this one may not necessarily, because we are not listening here for other clients, because the assignment from last semester also asking us have some like P2P function. So we have another server communicate with our client. Another client communicate with our client. So, but in this time, we don't have this part. So this part may not necessarily. You can put it in the main thread as well. Doesn't really matter at first. But you will definitely have a TCP thread like at last. So
okay,
this part, you must have this one.
Okay.
So this part may not necessarily, you can put it in the main thread.
Yeah.
It may have the same performance, but the TCP thread, you must have it.
Okay, now I understand. So basically the client, what the client does is the client creates a socket which communicates with the main thread. Then the main thread creates, the client creates a socket that communicates with the main thread of the server, and it sends a message which indicates how to communicate with it. So its host name and its port number. Then the server creates a subthread, and then the subthread then knows the client, the host name, and knows the port number, and therefore it knows what socket to communicate with on the client end. So the client creates two sockets. One socket is created to communicate with the main thread, and then once a connection has been established, then you create another socket on which the server can communicate with the client.
Yes, so it's like you are using the UDP to create a TCP connection. So you are mimicking the TCP handshake.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, if you like feel you don't have enough time to do the assignment, like you're really short of time and have no idea how to do it, at least you should do the TCP part. So you can do the assignment with TCP, but you may lose part of the marks.
Marks, yeah.
So, yes. So let's try to do the UDP version at first, because that's the hardest part. To use the UDP to do the TCP stuff. So, and that's our main goal. But if you think it's too hard for you, try to do a TCP only stuff.
No,
you
I
will
think
still
I
get
think
part of the mark.
I think I've got it. I think I
Yeah.
get it.
Just because we still have plenty of time, you can try to do it. And if you have any trouble, just come to the help session. Yeah, and let's figure it out.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
I understand the communication between client and server that only time the client will listen to the server if after they type some command into that, so they need to wait after that to get an answer. So I don't understand why we need another subthread for listening, but I understand why we need TCP thread and UDP thread. I understand that. I thought it should be I ask something to the server and I wait for it and I get the answer and then I ask again. So
yes,
not sure I understand it right or no. I mean only the UDP part. I mean I ask something, I wait for it and I get the answer and then ask again.
Yeah, you're right. So you are saying that you are trying to do the listening in the main thread, right? So it's a while loop. For example, it's something like while true stuff, and this one, let me make it. It's something like this.
Yeah, and wait for the answer.
And you are waiting for the answer in here, and wait for the answer here, right? And print it out. Yeah, that's totally fine. You can do it. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying this part may not be necessarily.
Okay. Is there anyone have an answer? I want to ask something about the packet loss. So that's fine.
Yeah, of course. If you can do the packet loss, if you can handle it, that's awesome.
Could I share the screen?
Yeah, of course. You can share the screen.
Do you see my screen?
No. Okay.
In the spec, it said that it's gonna be packet loss in UDP, and you need to have something to be retransmit the packet that's lost. But they said it to be basic one. So I want to ask do I need to be RUDP, the reliable UDP, or just retransmit in the pseudocode that I write? Just wait for it and just resend it, or I need to do the whole thing the act and all sequence and act.
You don't need to do the act stuff. If that's fine. You don't need to be exactly the same as TCP.
Is the first one fine? Just resubmit it.
Yeah.
Or do I need to resubmit until I get the response, or I just resubmit one time?
It really depends on you for the implementation, but I think this one should be enough. You have the timeout, and yeah, looks pretty good. But you can set the timeout into a very short period, let's say 0.2 seconds. Yeah, so we didn't even notice that it happened, but yeah, but this one looks pretty good. So this one will prevent us to have the packet loss. But don't worry too much about the packet loss at first. So, but yeah, of course, if you can do it, that's definitely a very good thing.
Oh, okay. I just overthink about the packet loss, and I just try to decide the app again.
Yes.
If this is if the first one is enough, I will just do it.
Should be enough. Should be enough. And the thing is, we will have a discussion about how will we test the program in week 9 and week 10. So I will have more information how we will mark the assignment at last, in following weeks. But for now, in my point of view, this kind of thing is not very important, because how will we mark the assignment is we will run your program in the VLab with our own hand, which means in the VLab that may have like a few chance to lose the packet, but I'm not sure if we will test it, but probably not. So we will not intend to create an environment that will have like packet loss. So it's like less likely to have packet loss in VLab. But yeah, I'm not sure for now, but in my point of view, for now, probably focus on the function at first.
Yeah, I could ask the lecturer about that next week. Is fine. Could I ask about the slide that you just showed? Could I have that, or it's not shareable?
The slides for
last week, I think I didn't attend last week.
Yeah.
The TCP and UDP that you like starter for assignment or something. I saw that.
Yeah. I think you are talking about this one. Let me see. Here.
Yes, that's it.
The overview, it's not overview, it's this one. The overview slides. Let me open this page. Is this one?
Oh, I mean the one you actually showed before this one, like
this one.
This one, yeah. This
one
the whole
is
thing.
on. Okay, right. I put it on the GitHub link. Let me share the link to you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about inconvenience.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let me share this. So I will share in the GitHub link here. I'll send it on the chat. So I will put it here. I'm not sure this one can run, but I will upload a PDF version later.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of this one. But yeah, just let me know if you have any doubt like regarding to this, because last week we had a discussion about how to get started, including like if you have no idea to how to do it, what should we do? Basically, just go through the specification. We have 2 tables inside of this specification. So like if you just have no idea how to start, go to the specification, and in here at the bottom, you will find some tables, which is quite useful. This one, the first one, the marking policy here, right?
Yeah.
So we only care how to get the full marks. So just do it one by one. So we don't care about the like useless function in the specification. So let's just do the like markable stuff at first. So the first one is the authentication. So let's just do the login stuff at first, and then do the CRT, MSG, LST. So for example, you are doing the MSG right now, just search MSG and you will see the details about it. So when you do it, just go through the format and some example and of course the requirement of it to make sure you satisfy all the requirements. And after you implement this method, go back to the bottom at the part 8 in here. The part 8, we call it sample interaction. So find the part you have done, let's say the CRT. So run all the command related to the CRT. Make sure you have the like exactly the same output. This one in the server side, this one in the client side. Make sure you have the same output. Then yeah, probably you'll get 4 marks for that.
Okay, thank you.
On top of that,
yeah, you go first.
Cheers. On top of that, it's just like if we don't use multi-threading, but we manage to achieve all the functionality, will we still get 4 mark or no?
Yeah, so we don't care about if like you are doing only one thread or multiple thread. It's always related to if you achieve this function or not. So we will not care too much. Like how did you do it? You can like run like lots of thread with your client, or you can only do one main thread with your client. That's fine, as long as you can run this kind of command.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
But we will definitely lose marks for using TCP for all commands.
Yes.
Right?
So yes. So if we are finding you are running TCP connection only, you lose some part of the marks.
Yeah, I already finished
don't,
that part.
I don't
so,
really
yeah.
remember. Probably 30% to 50%. So you may
30% to
30% to 15% of the marks if you are using the TCP.
I saw like
That's-
it's 7%. Like another 30% they're gonna test on 3 clients in the same time. So maybe we need threading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about here? The client 1, client 2, this server terminal. So in the server side, I think you have to use the multi-threading in here. Yeah, but don't worry too much because this one is the second configuration. So let's just do the first configuration, which is in here. You can see only one client and the one server is running. So we may not need to have the multi-thread in the server side at the very beginning, right? Because we only have one client. So let's just do this part. You still get 70% of the marks. Like, so it will be 14 over 20. Not too bad at first. Yeah, and then if we still have time, we can try to add like the multi-thread in the server side. But basically, it's not very hard to transfer from configuration 1 to configuration 2. Right? All you need to do is just modify this part. So there is nothing to do with the client side. It's just the server side stuff.
All right, cool. So when I'm trying to do the UDP stuff, so just in case there's a packet loss and the retransmission stuff, so how could I know, like, we are asking the client to input a command, right?
Yeah.
So how could we know it's a situation that the requirements is not sent, or the client is just waiting and doing nothing and probably sleeping? And
so you may think, what if my packet is just like got timeout or lost while transferring? You can just simply set a timer. If we didn't get a reply, like let's say in 0.1 second.
So it's like resend again.
Yeah, then we resend it again. Like we resend for 3 times. If we like didn't get it for 3 times, probably the like internet connection problem. We can print the proper like error message.
So it's like we cut off the connect.
Yeah,
no,
but
connection.
It's unlikely to happen in real life. So
Yeah,
usually we don't have the issue.
Yeah, just a bit curious about what would happen if I was typing some command where when the server sent me another the retransmission. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, so we do have a part of in here. You can see implementation of mechanism to recover from application loss of UDP segment. Yeah, you can definitely have some like timeout mechanism or fast retransmit or something like that. Depends on you how can you do it. But probably a timeout should be enough. But you can do it like you have more fancy way to do it, right? So
no, it's just I'm trying to figure out what would happen if there are more segments than expected when I was trying to type some commands from client side.
Yes. So just make sure you can run all these commands without any problem, like in the VLab.
Hopefully.
In the VLab. So yeah, the first thing is to make sure you like test your program in the VLab environment. So make sure we can run this kind of function. And if you find there's no problem at all, you should explain what you have done in this part, like to recover from the packet loss, right? You can say, I have done a timer. So if we have like a packet loss, I can resend it, blah, 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 in the document here, in the report. So you will have the part of how did you do for the packet loss for the UDP connection in your report, and usually we will get 4 marks.
Sorry, for the report, is it an extra document or is some comments within the script?
It's the report is a PDF file. So you need to create, for example, like 1-2 pages, like describing what is the structure. You can draw a picture like, let me show you. You can say,
yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you can draw a picture like show us how did you manage to communicate with each other.
Sure.
Yeah, and you can show your protocol to us. Like, what is your protocol that client can communicate with the server? You can say, they are talking like this. Just give us some examples so we can understand your program in your report. So the report is quite important. So we will read your report at first and then run your program. So if you make your report like very easy to understand, it will really help us to run your program.
Yeah, but is it fine for me to just use the UDP without any header?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
I'll give it a try. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
And also, where can I find the recording for last week's help session? Because
I'm so sorry, I lost the recording from last session.
Geez.
Yeah, but yeah, if you have like any doubt for that, just let me know. We can have a discussion about it. We have the.
I'll give it a try. Yeah, just finish the TCP stuff and realize I'm required to use UDP, which is, well, pretty annoying.
Yeah, so this. Yeah, if you haven't started yet, just go through the specification as I mentioned before. Just go to this table, do them one by one. I think
that'd be helpful.
Yeah, and yeah, that's all. Just get started with the TCP one. We can find the assignment TCP.
Awesome, thank you for that.
In here. So just download this code and try to add some function in here. In here, you can see the login function. Just modify the login function part at first and try to get it done, and then transfer from TCP to UDP. So if you have any doubt, just come to the help session. We still have one session on this Friday, and of course next week.
On top of what Matthew was saying just then,
yes.
So are we trying to mimic a TCP connection using UDP? It's multi-threading. Is that what we're trying to do?
Yes, that's what we're doing.
Okay, so we are trying to create the handshake process with UDP.
Yes.
So if we go back to the diagram, in the main thread, we are doing a handshake. And then once the handshake is complete, we go to the subthread. Is that right?
Yeah, like in here. Do you mean in here?
Yeah.
I think you've deleted the line in that drawing. Isn't the one that's supposed to go from the client to the main thread?
Client to the main thread. Oh yeah, like this.
Yeah. So that's the UDP. That's the initial message.
Yeah. So the first step is in here. So we will contact the server of the main thread and say, probably just say hello with our port. So we don't have the subthread here. We just have the port number here, where we are listening on.
Right.
So the server will know how can the server send a message to us.
So the server will probably return like the port that the subthread will be communicating with the client.
The client sends to the server the port that it wants to connect. The client sends to the server the port on which the server can communicate to the client.
Right, but didn't we say the server will open up like a separate socket?
Yeah, separate thread.
That is used in a subthread.
Yeah, but it's
So in my point of view, the client will have 2 ports in use, right? So the first one is to connect it with the server side, with this one.
Yeah.
So we want to send a message to the server. So we have to have a IP address and have the port number, right? So we may have the port number like 2345 and connect it to it. And then we will tell the server, we are listening on this port right now. So you can reply us to this port. So we can communicate in the future.
Right.
So my understanding is main thread 8888, that is a server socket. So the initial communication that happens is the client sends a message to the server's server socket, which is main thread 888. And in that communication, the client provides the port number and host address.
Yes.
But then when you look in the bottom left-hand corner and it says subthread listen, that's another server socket. So the client has its own server socket, which the server communicates with that server socket. So you've got two server sockets. You've got a server socket on the client side, and you've got a server socket on the server side. And the server socket on the server side is the main thread, and the server socket on the client side is where it says subthread listen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. So the box in blue color is for the client side. In the green color is for the server side. So this subthread is belong to the client. And this subthread UDP is belong to the server.
So the server socket on the client side is for, wait, I got a bit confused, sorry. So why do we have a server socket on the client side again?
Client side, this one? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we don't have, we may not need to have it in here, but in here, right? Wait for the answer. And port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this may make it easy to understand.
Yeah.
Like this.
Isn't that just the client socket itself?
No.
No, it's the different one. So you can try to do it at first. Then you will know why should we have an extra port listening on. Because
no, I did try to implement it the past 2 days, but
so you only need one port number, right? So you don't need the extra.
The way I understand it is when you have a server socket on the server side, so main thread 8888, that can accept connections from all clients. Whereas if you have, the way I see it is the reason why you put a server socket on the.
So we
the way I understand
need multiple.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So do we need multiple sockets on the client side or no? I understand we do need a UDP socket and a TCP socket on the client side, but like other from that, do we need an extra socket or not?
On the client side, you need a client socket and you need a server socket.
So 2 UDP sockets and a TCP socket.
But wait, well, what is 2 UDP sockets? Yeah. So one for sending, one for receiving, right? And one TCP for the file transmission.
Yeah, TCP for file transfer. Yeah.
Yeah. You can do it.
All right, clear.
No problem.
Thank you.
But I'm like very curious how we can do with only one UDP socket. Is it possible? Like it's not 2 sockets, it's just 2 port number.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we don't care about the sending port
sorry.
number because we don't care about the details of sending. You will have like figure out what is the port number for sending. But we just
sorry, should
care
we
about the
allocate
receiving.
Should we allocate the port number manually or we just read it?
Yeah, that port number we randomly generated.
Yes.
Yeah, it's randomly generated.
For the like this one AAA is like we need to. It's for the user input.
The user input.
Yeah. And this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we don't care the number, what the number is. You can use the random number or use the available port number.
You can find that in the client address when you receive the message in the server.
Yeah.
And so when we use randomly generate the port, we use one of the non-well-defined port numbers.
I think it's allocated itself. So when you receive a UDP packet in the server, I think it comes with the address. Like you can find it. If you look at the code, there's like a message and then comma.
Yeah.
So you're receiving like a tuple. So the first part is the actual message, and then the second part is the client address, which includes the IP and the port of the client.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, for the initial connection.
No, I'm just talking about in like general UDP connections. So like you're actually receiving a tuple, which is like two values. So a message and the client address when you're receiving anything in the UDP server.
Oh, so it's like for the new client, it's like the server accepts message from all, how should I say, all the ports, and after like login session, there's a thread only receive the message from this individual client's ports, something like that.
I think it's a handshake, but not actually the login.
Yeah. Sorry, the handshake. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to understand this as well. Like, how does the program design actually work?
Yeah. So we need to design the like mimicking for the handshake for the UDP. Okay. So you can design your own way. This one is just an like example for that. So not necessarily be the same. You may have your own method. Just so this one is for the structure. So actually we don't care too much about the structure, but like how did you achieve? Let me have a look at it. How can we achieve the this one, the table? So we only care if the logging function is working or not, and the CRT function is working or not. So you may have different way to do it. So if you think another way is better, let's just do it.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I do want to learn how multi-thread actually works though. So give it a go, I guess.
Yes, the multi-thread is very easy to understand. Like for the server code here, the server code. This one we have the thread. In our main thread, for the server side, it's like a reception. We have firstly listen in here, and we will receive. So it accepts the new connection from the client, right? So once we have new clients in here, we will have the address and the socket object that we can send a reply of it. So we just pass these two stuff to our thread to here, right? You can see the client thread is in here. And then we start the thread, and that's it. So that's how we do in, where's my graph right now? Let me find, it's in here. So this one is in this part, right? We are at here, the main thread. Once we have a new connection, we establish a subthread. So it's in here. So that's how it works. And let's have a look of like how to create the thread. So the client thread is very easy to create. Just have a new class and specify is the subthread, is the parent is the thread library, and define the initiation. Actually, nothing special inside of the initiation. You can see just init. So just save the address and socket to self, right? Just save it to its own. resources and set the client alive to specify if the client is alive or not. If it's not alive, we just kill this subthread. Otherwise, we keep receiving the message. So here are the run function.
So when we exit the program, we set self client alive to false.
Yes. So we will have a look in here. So how can we set this one at false? You can see here. So if the message is empty, which means it's disconnected, then we will set it at false. So we will print the user disconnected, and then we close this thread. And you can see there is a start function in here. So once we run the start function, it will come to here. It will come to the run function. It will run this function. So what we have here, we have a while loop. While the client is alive, we will keep receiving the message, right? We will keep listening of the incoming content from the client. And then
sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
But how do we do this when it's UDP? Because with UDP, we're not specifically listening to a client because there's like actually no connection state, right?
Yes.
This is like the actual part that I got stuck on.
Yes. So you will receive, or do you mean you will receive like all kind of information, no matter it's come from this client or not?
Yeah, exactly. So how do we deal with
So
that?
how can we do that? I think you can like make it simple, like only have one thread, like just ignore this part. Let me find it again. I lost here again. So you may think, it's very hard to do in a subthread, right? Or it's unnecessary to have a subthread in here. Probably we can handle it in the main thread, right? So in your implementation, probably you have this main thread and handle all kind of incoming message, right? Is it correct?
Yeah, because I did finish the thing without using any like multi-threading. So I'm just wondering, like, is it like the necessity to do this?
It's not necessary to like add extra work. So if you feel like it's okay to do with the main thread, that's it's like totally fine. You can just simply do with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like if you do like this, the code will be like a lot. Like they are squeezed in the main thread.
Yeah, a big chunk. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, of course you can do it. Like so this way, much easier. But it's very hard to add more function at the end, especially for the like download, upload stuff. You may need to modify the structure of it. Yeah, but of course you can do it. So the main thread here, you are listening from the UDP incoming message from all the clients, right? So if we have a new client sending to us, we will like probably distinguish with the IP address or the port number or other stuff to distinguish.
Or the username.
Yeah, or the username if they are come from the main user. Yeah, of course you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, just with the.
But I'm just wondering, right? Is it like achievable to use multi-threading but with like UDP? So how do you actually do subthreads that receives specific UDP packets from the clients, different clients?
You can have a handler in the main thread, right? It's still receiving the message. You can say you have the, or you can write a specific thread that like message handler, call it message handler, that can like handle all kind of incoming message, and it will distribute the like specific message to different subthread. But it's like a little bit complicated in this assignment, isn't it? So if you can just do it in one thread, you can do it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's why I feel like implementing multi-threading using with like UDP is actually pretty complicated. It requires like handling before it goes into the subthread.
Yeah.
For like dealing with different clients.
Yeah, actually you can just do it inside the main thread. So every time you just keep listening for the incoming message. If you have a new message to the server side in here, So we just have a look, which client is that, which user is that, and then we just do the action. Just put it in the message handler. We don't need to have a new subthread to do it, unless we need to do the transferring, right?
Yeah, I know, because I've been reading through the thing and I didn't really feel like there's a necessity to actually use like multi-threading.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily to like, it's not saying that we have to have multi-thread. Actually, there are lots of ways to do this kind of assignment. So this way,
okay.
I think this is the simplest way to do it, isn't it? Like
But
most straightforward.
Doesn't the server need to keep track of who's connected to it?
The server, yeah, we can have. You can create.
So wouldn't you have to maintain like a record of?
Yeah, you can have a like.
Wouldn't you have to maintain state of each of the clients, like where they are through a transaction?
Yes, you can have a table like this inside the server. So once we have a new client connected to the server, we will save the information in the table. So next time we receive a new message or we just get a message from somewhere else, we can search the table at first.
So it's like we band the address with the username or something.
Yeah, like it's mainly to handle the port number here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we need to say probably this one is Mandy. He is listening on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 local host.
Sure.
Like this. And Lucy is in another address with another port number or something like this.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
So we need to know how to contact the Mandy.
Yeah.
Of course, you can save different information too, comparing to this one, but the idea is the same. We need to know how to contact them. So it's just like the TCP stuff.
But then with that one, I can see an issue is if, let's say, one client sends a login and it's verifying the username, and then another client sends a login and is asking to verify the username, and then you're responding. With this sort of version, I would be thinking there'd be issues with concurrency, wouldn't there? Like if like how would I explain it? Like if somebody's doing a login and they provide a username, and then another client provides a username, and then the first client has to provide the password, and then the second client has to provide the password, I can see issues occurring in that sort of situation.
Like what kind of problem will we have for like?
I understand what Matthew is saying. I personally added another list just for clients that are still authenticating, and then a list storing all the users that have logged in that should solve the issue.
Yeah, you're talking about the login status.
The login status.
For this one, user credential and active user list.
Yeah, because when you're executing the commands such as create, delete, and so on, you're only doing like one action and one response. However, with a login, you're creating two actions. So you're sending an action, and then you're getting a response, and then you're sending a request, and then sending a response. And then basically, when you send that first request and then response, then any other client could. I can see issues there. I don't know how to explain it properly though.
Like how about, like for example here, that's how we communicate with the client and server. In my point of view, we can create a JSON-like structure stuff. So firstly, we just send a request from client to the server about the login with the username and password, and the server side can say login successful, and you are user Luda, and we can give you a like hash password or something that we can specify this one is Luda. So Luda can use this kind of cookies in the future to represent himself. So next time, if Luda want to do the action of LST, it just send the cookies directly, like without sending the username and password. But in here, I send them all.
With that, I can kind of see an issue, because the way the specification does it is they say enter a username, and then your client, how do I say this? Your client says that they want to log in. So the client enters the username. Yeah. The client provides the username to the server as a, the client provides the username to the server. Then the server checks whether the username is valid and sends a message back saying username is valid or username is invalid, or whether it's a new user. And then,
yes.
Whereas in this particular situation, what you're showing here is you're providing the username and the password at the same time. So you're sending a request and you're sending the password and the username at the same time. But how is whereas in the specification, what's happening is it's not sending it at the same time. What it's doing is it's sending the username first, then the server checks whether that username exists. If it exists, it asks for a password. If the username doesn't exist, it says create new username. Then it says create new password.
Yes.
The structure which is shown here is a little bit different to what the specification is asking, because this structure, you're sending the username and password in one go, whereas in the specification, you send the username and then you find out whether the username exists. And if it exists, then you send the password.
Yeah, you're right. So I made a mistake here. So because in here, I just want to say we can use this kind of structure. So I didn't care too much about the details of the assignment. Yeah, so I didn't follow the rules. So probably in here, if I need to follow the rules. In here, I just request login username at first. So I will not send the password.
And that comes later in another request.
So probably I will change the name of the action to login verify username to here. So the server will know we are verifying the username, and you will say the result, the user exists or not. So once we come back to a client, we will like do the corresponding action to the result. So if the user exists, we can keep doing like request, login, verify password stuff, and username, password, etc. like this.
I think Matthew was asking, what if two clients are logging with the same username?
No, I wasn't asking that.
It's a kind of corner case. The logging, I think it's, you can't log in with
what I was saying is I can see an issue coming up across was, so do you know how this example, in this example, you've got the username and the password being sent at the same time, but then the specifications requiring the username to be first, and then if it's valid, then send a password for that username?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I can see an issue. What I'm saying is I can see an issue happening is when you have two clients trying to get verified at the same time. So the first client sends the username, then the second client sends the username, and then the third client sends, then the first client sends the password, and then the second client sends the password. In that situation there, I can see some issues popping up with concurrency, like it happening at the same time, because then the server wouldn't know. So if the first client sends the username, and then the second client sends the username, then the server doesn't know whether to reply to the first client or the second client.
So, yes. So in here, we may need add another like identification for the unknown client at first. So for example, this one, the client may also add an identifier in here. So for example, we can use the IP address and port number to specify this client. So we know we are talking about to this client at this time. Like, because you are saying that like two different clients verify the password at the same time, right? So we don't know which one is which.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah, so we can add the IP address and port number inside of the dictionary.
I handled that with an extra list called, so for all the clients that only put the username in but not the password. So if the username, if a client has already put their username, let's say the second client has tried to enter the same username, then that list should solve your problem here. So that should be handled if you just check the list. So a separate list for the clients have only put it their username but not their password. So that list should handle this case.
I have some question about threading. If we have multi-threading and we have some file or some list in our program, do we need to have anything to protect two thread, like access it at the same time?
The access of the information or the data?
Yeah, yes. For example, you have like some text file that you store all the data, like the credential. If like two thread access them at the same time,
yes,
it could be a
you
problem.
may have problem, of course.
Yeah, is the Python deal with that, or we need to deal with that?
Usually we don't have the question, but if we do, I recommend you like to test your program at first. If you do have this kind of problem, try to reduce the time of loading like the IOs. Let's say you should be atomic for every action for writing and reading, right?
Wait, can't we assume that though? Wasn't that written in the spec?
Yeah, I understand that.
Usually we don't have this problem, but if you do have the problem, like two thread is opening the same file, like for example, the first client open it first, and then it is waiting to write something on it, and suddenly the client 2 open it again, and client 2 overwritten it, and you may have some problem. So make sure you like read like one by one, read and write at the same time. But I'm not sure like what kind of situation are you talking about? Probably the logging stuff, create a new
username.
Yeah,
like credential. If like the first the first person like just log in and like they need access to the credential file.
So with the txt, you can with open the file with the A, right? You can use this method. So you will not read the file. You will just simply add something at the end.
It's not like if I use the credential file to store all the data about like the login and authentication, everything, and I'm writing some new user into that, and another user try to log in, and I need to check the username. Is it gonna be a problem?
Yeah, that could be a problem. So
yeah,
I suggest you to like store this kind of information in the RAM, so you don't have the like writing stuff issue. So we have a couple ways to handle this one. The first one is to save the information in the RAM, so you don't have the writing and reading problem, right? You just save it. Let's say you can you can put it in the credentials equal to a dictionary, right? And you load the txt file once you run the server. So every time you just verify this one, right? And you can use the global to make it like accessible for all of the thread.
Yeah.
And of course, the second one, sorry, as the second one, the method we can use is the txt file. Txt file. Every time we have a new like user login, we just read the file and verify it. If it doesn't have the username inside of the txt file, we just create it with this command, right? So we just use the open stuff A. So this one will not have the like the problem we mentioned before. And sorry, I don't know what happened to the format.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, and the third method is to use a simple database. Let's say what is that? The simplest one is the database. I don't remember which one I used, but it's very easy to use. It's just a simple file. It's just like the second one, but it's a database for this stuff. I think it's the SQLite. Yeah, SQLite. So this one will not have the problem we mentioned because it's just a database. But it's just like the second one. It's just like a file. But I don't think we need to do like this. But if you do have a lot of trouble on like storing the stuff, you can use the database.
Okay.
Strongly recommend you to do this or the second one. Like inside the RAM, it's very easy to access, right? And every time if we create a new user, we can like write the stuff. So only one thread can access the file. So we don't have to like conflict anymore. So for example, we can say only the main thread can load the file and write the file. So you can say every 10 seconds, every time we have new user, we just write that file, right? And we just check the credentials inside the dictionary. So of course, you can also use the queue. It's a library, building library. It's like a list, and it's accessible for multi-thread. So there are lots of more way to assess this kind of problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the main problem is how to handle like the UDP connection, like a TCP one, because we need to distinguish which user is that, which client is that. So we may need to maintain a table that saying that this client is verified as Luda, something like that, with this IP address and port number. Yeah, so I'm talking about like with only one thread, main thread in here. So we don't have the sub thread for the UDP connection here. So we need to maintain this kind of information inside the server.
That PowerPoint that you provided, that was week 7 assignment help session. Is there one for week 6?
Oh, it's week 7.
Oh, hold on, week 7, maybe. Sorry, I thought we're in week 8 now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are in here right now. In this week, I should be more focused on this part, the multi-client. Let me see if I can bring some example, but it's very hard to present the code in the help session. So it's more about the program structure, like how to do the multi-client stuff.
Yeah.
So it's what we are discussing about, and the TCP file transmission. I'm trying to find the code we had, but I don't think it's very hard to do the file transmission since we had the lab exercise before, right? We are writing a TCP server that can show the pictures and the HTML files. It's basically the same stuff. We just copy that code and to our assignment, and then we are able to send the, like, for example, pictures or other files.
Sorry, for the UDP threads, we will still get the address even we like specify which address we're gonna listen from. Is that correct? So we always get two outputs. One is request, one is address from UDP receive from function.
Yes.
All right, good. I'll check it.
So once you receive from, you run the receive from, you will have two stuff. So the first thing is the message. The second thing is the IP address and port number.
So if I specify the IP address and the port number in the receive from formula, so I'll still get that address, which is the same as I specify, right?
What do you mean by that? Like once you
so the receive from in the bracket we already have a size for it, which is 1024 generally, right? But if I want this thread to specifically receive message from one client, so should I specify the client address and the port number in the receive from bracket?
Can you do that? I'm not pretty sure. Let me check. I don't think you can specify which.
What's the structure for the receive from formula?
Let me check.
Self, buffer size, flex. Oh, there's no address specified.
Yeah, so you can't limit the address of it. So you need to have a like handler by yourself. So you have a thread or main thread to handle this kind of information. So the thread is keep running this command. So it can distribute the message. And let me check.
So it's like we need to deal with all the UDP message received from all segments, and after that the handler helps us to like send those UDP to specific threads corresponding to the client.
Yeah. So in here, every time the message handler just keep receiving the message from the client. So we are not sure which client yet. So we use this function to distinguish.
That would be finding out the client is not that hard, but how do we tell the script to like how do we tell this thread this is your job?
Yeah, so in here we don't create the thread, right? We don't create the subthread for the UDP right now. So the TCP is another story.
But what if I try to use a UDP? What if I try to use UDP threads?
Okay, so if you're trying to use the UDP thread, then you need to figure out the way. How can you? So you can say this one is.
How can I tell this thread this is your job, not his?
Thread, right? So you can put it in the queue. So the thread is checking the queue like for a few intervals, like every 1 second. You can check the queue if you have new action or not.
Oh, that sounds complicated. I'll ignore that. I'll proceed with main thread.
Yeah, you can do the subthread. The main thread is proceeding, like receiving the message and create the task for every subthread. You can do that, but yeah, it's not necessary.
Main thread is creating a task for subthread. How does that come true? Like how the main thread allocate tasks to subthread? I'm gonna check that.
Yeah, you can search thread communication.
Thread communication.
Yeah, Python. Like how can they communicate with each other inside the stuff, inside the thread? Usually we use the queue. Let me see if we have new stuff. No, the first result is still the queue. Nothing new.
Oh, check that.
But I see this way is like easier. We just use a main thread instead of have a subthread here like this. I think this one should be enough. I make this one complicated.
Yeah, I'll give it a try using that one.
Like
yeah,
I think probably you're right. The main thread itself is enough to handle it, since we just I think it's enough. We don't need to create subthread. Even subthread is like this.
Yeah, we'll give it a try.
Because with the subthread, we don't need to handle this one. We don't need to have this table. But yeah, it seems easier to have this table because easier to understand.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, because I use a sample code from the website, and it's pretty much constrain my idea. I was thinking how to use multithread all the time. Yeah, I'll give it a try with one thread percent. By the way, where can I find the recording for today's session? Because I think I missed few part from the beginning.
Yes, I will upload it and then put it into the GitHub link. Where's our GitHub link? It's in here.
Oh, so you're gonna upload it into your
it's in the chat.
Your GitHub. Yeah, cool.
So I'll put it in here, the recording. Sorry, I missed the recording from last week. Couldn't find it. But today I used the recording local.
Yeah, at least I can still skip another subject during this time to attend.
But don't worry too much. We still have another session. Yeah, right.
We still have
Friday.
3 more sessions. Oh, actually Friday, 5 more sessions.
Yeah, actually 5. I didn't put the week 10 in here. So we still have.
Oh, are we gonna have help session in week 10?
Yeah, of course we do.
That'd be great. Yeah, just hopefully I can get it done. Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course. Still have plenty of time. Take it easy.
So basically the thing that everyone is talking is like, if we have multi-threading on UDP, each thread not gonna know which client they need to serve. Is something like that? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah.
Because
So if in TCP it's very easy to handle, right? Because every client connected to us,
they have a handshake.
Yeah, we just simply run this part here, just simply run the thread start, and we already have the socket and the address. So it's very easy to communicate, but we need to do it by ourselves in the UDP part. So we need to store this kind of information in somewhere to teach ourselves how to communicate with these clients.
So what I understand is we shouldn't use multi-threading for UDP, but we use it for like to have another TCP, like transfer a file while we doing something else. Is that it?
I
mean, you use like not multi we have one thread to like communicate with all the client, and we can have any more thread to deal with like TCP in the background. Is that it?
Yeah, so in here we just use a one main thread.
Yeah,
to
like
all
the diagram that you write.
All kind of message.
I mean this one, like the one that you draw right now, I think it's like, I understand that way. Like we have main thread and we have subthread to deal with TCP. And if another client have like asked for TCP again, we have another subthread for that TCP.
So the TCP here, yeah. Are you talking about how to create a TCP thread connected to it and connect?
In the past week, I understand that we use multi-threading for like UDP for each client, but after I understand everyone like talking about that, so yeah, I shouldn't be using that, but I'm using it for TCP and UDP separately, not for like one thread for one UDP. One thread for one client.
Yeah, so but we had a discussion about it. We think probably only one main thread for the server to handle most of the incoming message. Like it's the easiest way.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, of course, how can we create the TCP for the like upload download command? So once we receive the message, like receive the request from the client, it's about their like uploading stuff. So we will create the TCP subthread, just like we did in the example code. We just create the thread and start it. So it will connect it to the TCP with the client. So once the user input the upload command, it will create the TCP thread, which will communicate with the server side, saying that I'm going to send you a stuff. Could you please give me the information? Establish the TCP connection, just like the example code. So we will have a TCP connection beside the UDP connection, and then we can send the information, and then we close it. Stop sharing now, so feel free to share your screen if you have any trouble.
Hi, Ray.
Hello?
Hi, is there any way we could share some code with you for you to look at? No debugging. I thought it might be easier to ask questions. I could show you some code.
You can show like a part of it. So like you should describe like what kind of like problem is that?
Okay, I'll try to describe it. So what was I gonna say?
Like what kind of information? What kind of problem? Like,
Yep. So you know, in the sample code online, it's inside the thread class in the run method. There's that one big while loop, and that does most of the work.
yes.
When I try to do it, my run method is it's very empty. Like, I don't really use it. I just have a bunch of smaller methods.
Yeah.
And I think Timothy on the forum said he thinks we have to use the run method. Do you know if I have to use the run method, or can I just not include it in the thread class, and instead I'll just call separate functions like create, like MSG, exit, and so
on? So what is the reason you don't use the run method? Because so once you call the start function of the thread, it will go to the run function, right?
Yep. Can I not use start? Like, can I not use start?
Like, so how did you run your thread?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It might be easier if I could show you something. So what I've done is I have one main while loop, and then that listens for, that's the only place that would listen for UDP segments. Anytime a new UDP segment comes in, I check whether I've seen that client address before. If I haven't, I'll create the new thread. If I have, then I have like a list of all the threads I've created, and then I'll just and all those objects, and then I will first check what the message is in the main while loop. So I'll look for whether it's a create, what kind of command. Once I know what kind of command it is, I will then pass it to the right thread. But when I pass it to the right thread, I do it through like a method, authenticate username, or delete or edit message. So I don't really use the run. I just have these
So
command.
and I may know what you're talking about. So you have the like small task every time. So the thread is, like, for example, it's only for one action. So it's not like the connection for a very long time. So every time you just run a simple like, let's say, function for one user.
Yes. So and then I'll pass it, and then it stops, and then I'll wait for the next one.
Yeah, that's okay. So is there any problem for that?
So far it seems to be working fine. I guess what I wanted to ask is, right now, I wasn't sure if I can delete the run method and the start call. So what I've done is I have a separate authenticate username method, and then my run function, all it does is call the authenticate username method. But then I can just I can delete the whole run method, and instead of calling start, I would just do authenticate username.
Yes, but I don't think you need to delete the run function. Instead, you should create a lot of like threading classes about different actions. So in your point of view, you are like running different actions every time for different user. So once the action is done, the thread will be closed, right?
Oh, will it close? Because I don't think it ever closes, because I make a record of it in a list, and every time if it's the same client coming back for a second command, I can just pick it from the list and not create a thread again, and just give the message to that thread. So it seems like it's closing. It's always running.
Okay. So it's like advanced version of it. Yeah, sounds pretty good. So you can communicate with the thread. That's pretty good. But why should you delete the run method?
Right now, it just doubles up on all the run method has is one line, and that is like self.authenticate username. But then I can just do self.authenticate username rather than do the .start.
Yeah, but you have to define the run method in here, because it's the parent class is the thread, right? You want to overwritten the parent thread, parent class.
Oh, so what run does or what start does is it just means you create that is what creates a subthread. Like if I don't use it, then it won't work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And do I need to do I ever need to close a thread? Because in my list, once I've created the thread and I've put it in that list, it's there forever. Do I ever need to go in there and say like delete? Is there a way to close it, like a dot close, like opposite of dot start?
Yes, I think you can. If you jump out from the list, jump out from the while loop, it will close. But we still have the objects.
Oh, the object will always be there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the object will always be there. Okay. Because I don't have a while loop in the thread class.
Oh, you don't have it. But yeah, like how can you like give a new command and let it run again? I think you have the while loop like waiting for the command in your thread.
Yeah, that's like can I show you something? Because I'm not sure if I did something really if I went.
So you just call like the thread and dot the function, is it?
Yes. So I have that.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I have a lot of that for all the commands. There's one different method.
Okay.
The class.
So is it necessary to like do the threading, because it's not about like threading stuff, isn't it? You just use like a thread, just like a class.
I've copied the online code where you have the a class bracket is thread. So I'm guessing it's kind of like a thread.
Yes, but you are using the class just like a normal class. So if you, I guess your code could also be run if you delete the thread library over there.
Oh shit! Okay, I think I didn't understand thread, and I didn't know what I was doing.
What are you trying to do is like try to remove the thread from your code, like at first see if it's working or not. Because I see you are just simply using the class method instead of like running the thread.
Oh shit!
In
okay.
Another, so all the function is running on the main thread. You just simply call the class with the function.
Yes, that's right. Oh, okay, I screwed up then. So this isn't even multi-threading. I don't know how to do multi-threading. Damn it.
Yeah, but don't worry about it. Since we don't need to do it.
Okay, so multi-threading is okay. Shit. Now I'm. So what's multi-threading then? It just means that.
Yeah, we have some very good example code online like about multi-threading. Like they can print, for example, you want to print something at the same time. How can you do that? Like with two multi-thread, printing two things simultaneously, or running two tasks simultaneously at the same time. How can you do that? Let's say I define two functions. The first function will print hello after 2 seconds, and the second function will print word after 3 seconds. Can I run it in the same time? Like how can we run it in the same time? We can use the multi-threading. So with the library, that will allow us to run two different functions at the same time.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But since we don't need to handle this at the first configuration, all we need to do is just handle the incoming message from a client, and then like send the corresponding response, and of course do some actions according to the request.
Is the only reason what I've done working because the specs say the server just deals with one user at a time. So one user sends something, it actions it, and while it's actioning that user, no other user's commands are being actioned. Is that the only reason why what I've done works? Because the server doesn't need to action the commands of two users at the same time.
document at the same time. What does this mean? Like,
actually, I don't know. Oh, dang it. Okay. Can I share screen? I'm just really
yeah.
confused myself. Can I show you what I've done?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I think you can create breakout rooms.
Breakout rooms. Let me see.
Yeah, I remember I was in a meeting with somebody once, and in Zoom you can create breakout rooms where you have a specific room for that specific person, so they can show you their code.
Oh, that's fancy. Are we able to do that?
Assign manually. Yeah, but let me see. How can we do assign? Okay. So room 1. Open. So you can choose to join the room, I guess.
Oh, yes, I see that one. Join breakout room. And then room 1, join. Thanks. Thanks, Ray. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Yeah, but if you share screen, it's still on the recording.
Oh, damn it. I don't mind. Will I get in trouble if I show this?
I'm not sure, but it's usually do not share your code. Otherwise, someone may copy your code. Unnecessary problem, but you can show like a part of it.
Okay. Or maybe we can try cut it out or something. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, let me try to share.
I think so I think it's okay because it's already in the like recording.
Are you able to see? I've lost it. Are you able to see me?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the main while loop. And then this is the only place where I accept UDP segments. And then once I've got it, I've got a dictionary here, the client threads up there, so like a global dictionary, and it just tracks it tracks all the new users. So what I do? Oh, here we go, client thread. And so I do that here, and I create the thread, and then so that's all I do. And then once I figure out
thread and thread equal to this one is dictionary. Okay.
Yep,
okay,
so
and you started. Okay.
Yes, so right now I started. When I started, all I do with the start, if I can scroll up, if it's not too confusing, is, oops, where did it go? Here, all I have when I start is the authenticate username, where I check the username.
Okay.
That's
so
what
what's next?
Okay, and I'll go back down. Sorry, this is where it gets messy. Yeah, and then that's done. If it's an existing client and they have a command, I have this thing where I check exactly what the command is.
Okay, client message type is this one. Yeah.
Yep. Analyze it, figure out if it's a username, password,
authenticate password. Yeah, you just simply call the class and then run it. That's it.
So what I've done is not multi-threading. What I've done is just have a class and objects.
Yes.
Damn it.
So it's just a simple class. So you just do the authentication. So it's all the thing is like done in the main thread. But yeah, but the login stuff is the multi-thread. Like I'm curious if it's possible to have two clients at the same time and you try to log in, if it would cause any trouble or not.
I think it works. Let me try it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I was testing it. I can have two clients and it works. And I think it works because the specs say the server just handles one client at a time. So it'll handle one client. Like you can't, like one person will log in and then the second person will try to log in after that first person's command has been processed. Is that correct? Oh, let me see if
I think you should allow them to log in at the same time.
So, and then I'll try here.
Yes.
So at the same time, do I just say Yoda, and then over here, who was someone else again? What's another username in the? Oh, damn, I forgot. Let me have a look. Credentials. I forgot the username. Sorry.
Hans.
Hans. That's right, Hans. And then I go Hans, and then I go wise man. So that one's there. The other one is Falcon. Is this how it will be tested?
Yeah, it is.
So if what does multi-threading do that this class thing can't? So I guess what happens is if what if Yoda wants to upload something like a big file, and halfway through uploading the file, Hans then wants to upload a file. Would multi-threading allow both of them to upload at once?
No. You can try to run it, right? It's in the main thread. So the main thread will handle this one by one. So if you have a very long, let's say very long task, it will get stuck.
What about multi-threading? Can multi-threading handle it?
Yes. So I'm not sure, like, how did you do with the UPD command, upload command? So can you jump to the upload?
Yep. So, oh wait, so multi-threading, everything will be in here. Is that what you're saying? Everything's here?
Yes. So your login function is like threading.
I've got one through. Okay, at least I tried with this.
Yeah, but it's working. That's fine. Yeah,
I guess I didn't learn multi-thread. It was hard and I couldn't figure out. So I just did this. Upload is here. So
upload.
I just
create the socket, and let me see. It prints, listens, creates, and close. It just receive a stuff. This one is the server side, right? Receive a stuff and close. And then you upload the content and write it. Yeah, just create a file and write it. And I'll open the thread. And, what is that? Open the stuff as append. So you're writing something to the file. Append the file record.
This the file. I write to it, upload it. This is now in the main thread. We have to add that thing like Yoda uploaded test.exe. So yeah, that's this there.
Okay. So you are saving the thread content into a file.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Is that what we're supposed to do? I thought we had to do this.
Yeah, you can do that. You can save in the RAM.
Damn it. Okay. I thought we had to create
reliable UDP transfer to client. Reliable UDP transfer. What is that at the end?
That is. Sorry. I think that was what we had to do retransmission. Does this look about right? Like you just to make sure.
Set time eyes. Yeah. Should be what. That should be. So
every time I send, I have to run the reliable transfer, and then it comes here.
So why are you like run the lock over there? A threading lock.
Do I need? Do I need to do it in case? In case UDP socket is being.
I'm not sure. Like in here, it's locked because since you're not running the threading.
I think I know what happened before. So you know how I have a receive from here? I think the problem I had was if I didn't lock it, if my client sends a UDP message, it gets picked up here. But I don't want to get picked up here. I want to get picked up here. I think.
Okay. Yeah, but what if you want to send two very large files? I think you got stuck.
how big's a large file?
I'm not pretty sure, like, but can you try to set a delay on the transmission and to pretend the file is very large, like on the TCP connection part, you can set a delay, not the timeout. Yeah, but
TCP. How do I set a delay?
the upload stuff, right? So before you write the file, you can set a delay for, like, let's say 5 seconds.
Ah, so
You can just time.sleep 5 and then see if you can upload 2 stuff at the same time. I don't think you can upload 2 stuff at the same time. But, yeah, but
what?
Please try.
Oh wait, sorry. Was the oh, do I add it after this, after close?
Yeah, just before you write the stuff.
Oh, before this, okay. So I'll do it here. Oh, what's the command? What's the how do I sleep it?
Time.sleep.
Ah, okay.
Time.sleep and
yeah.
Yeah, you can try, like, send the stuff at simultaneously, see if it's working.
Oh, you mean like or 2 users upload something separately? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but if they, like, only one user sending the file, they will have no problem at all. But
Oh.
with 2 users, that's why we use multi-thread in here. It will got stuck.
Oh, for some reason it worked before. Let me see if I can oh, does it, okay, what if they upload 2 small files, or does it have to be 2 big files?
No, not necessarily. But yeah, you're saying that you're not sure why should we use threading here, right? So we are talking about.
I tried having 2 users both upload like an image, and it worked fine.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because it's very, like, the speed is very fast. So you didn't feel the delay, but now you should feel the delay.
I see what you're saying.
Like you run the server and have 2 clients and try to upload file at the same time and see.
Okay, so client P1, P1. I see what you're saying. Damn it! Now maybe I have to redo this.
Yeah, I think it's okay to allow them to join the room right now, since you are not sharing other code. Do not scroll your code anymore.
Okay. Yes, I won't scroll.
Just run the script.
Hi, did you send an invite for me to join the room?
Yeah, so it's okay to join the room right now, since he's just testing the code right now.
I did something really dodgy. So let me try down.
Can you try to upload a file?
Let me try that. I'm just putting a picture in my folder, my directory. I'll call it Garfield. Oh, no, so I'm gonna make 2 Gar and Gar2. Okay, let's see if this works. What's the command? Oh wait, now I'm gonna create a thread. Then I have CRT 3331, and then upload. What is again? 3331 gar.png. I'll get ready here. Upload 3331 gar2.png.
Yeah.
Is it just this one?
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, just run it at the same time and see if it will get stuck.
Oh shit, there's no time.
Okay, another stuff. Oh yeah, you didn't import the time, right?
Let me try one more time.
So you need to run it again.
Let's try it again. Falcon solo, was it? Okay, now we can maybe try upload 9331 PNG. This one is upload 9331 PNG. Like that, and let me see if this works. Oh, you're right. This one's, yeah, this one was stuck. Oh, it took a long time. Damn it.
Yeah, it took longer time, but you can't feel it. It's very hard to feel it if the file is very small. So I don't think you need to do any modification about it. Yeah, but if you can make it multi-thread,
multi-thread is very quick. You'll do it instantly.
So yeah, they can do it at the same time, but I think it's okay. It's working properly. So
damn it. Okay.
like working perfectly. You don't need to do more stuff. Yeah, but if you can make it better.
Okay, maybe I should do the proper multi-threading. So how does the multi-thread pick up the how do I pass messages to the multi-thread then, to the thread? Because I get maybe that's
that's your own thread. You need to figure out by yourself. But like I'm not pretty sure if in this case. So if I am you, probably I will just make the UDP function as a thread. So I will do something like just create a new thread in the UDP command and start it.
So would you have your main thread pick up all the UDP messages and then pass it?
So it's okay to call the UDP function here, right? In the main thread. So once we call the UDP function, we just create a new thread, right? And then start it, just like what we did in the TCP server.
Oh, like you have to receive from in the inside? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not about inside. So it's not about, so we don't do any modification in this part, in the run part. Just keep it, just put it here and leave it. And we'll go to the UDP part and then just make it multi-thread, right? Because you may think you need to have everything in multi-thread, right?
Yeah.
But in my point of view, like add the upload and download into the multi-threads enough.
And
if you want to move everything into the multi-thread, it's a huge project. You need to figure out how to do it.
Oh, I see. So just put upload and download in here.
Yeah, I'm talking how to put the upload and download.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. So,
yeah, but now your program looks pretty good. Yeah, like everything looks pretty good. Just making sure you can run it at first and then write the. Yeah, you can try to modify it to make it everything threading.
Oh, so just put the upload here and the download here.
No, not here.
Oh, not in the run. Then
not in the run. So just leave it here. This one, just leave it here, because you are handling the logic in the main thread, right? So the run is not about any logic. So you should. I'm not sure how can you make everything threading in here. You need to move lots of logic from your main thread to here to run. But if you only want to do the upload and download, then you should go to the upload and download part, the function of it. And then once you call the upload function, then you just create a new thread and then run it and start it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is there any way after the assignment's due that like I can look at like a proper multi-threading? Yeah, because I obviously screwed up.
The multi-threading, yeah, we do have lots of example code online.
Like, do you have a sample answer that we can look at after the assignment is due?
The assignment?
So I mean, after everyone submits the assignment, is there a way for me to look at like a sample answer that a sample?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we have the sample answer for that.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
damn it. Okay.
But
Thank you.
let me see if I can find the stuff. Yeah, just like this. I send on the chat Yeah. So this is tutorial of the multi-threading. It's the similar stuff. So you just modify your upload function.
Great. So I'm trying to figure out how to use Zoom. How do I get back to the chat? Here, I got it here.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll look at that. Okay, no, thank you very much. That was helpful.
Okay. Yeah, we still have lots of sessions. So you have already done it, I see. So you still have plenty of time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really good. Nice. Well done.
I didn't do multi-threading, so now I'm a bit unhappy. I gotta learn it. Thank you though.
Yeah, you get most of the marks for this one. It looks pretty good.
Okay. If it works, but I didn't do multi-threading properly, would I still get the mark? Like, where would I lose marks?
Yeah, if you are like aiming for the full marks, you should keep doing multi-thread and other stuff. Make sure your like all the outputs are exactly the same as the in the document.
But if it works fine.
Yeah,
so
if,
what
like if everything works fine, yeah, I would say it's not very important to have multi-threading.
Okay, but I should still probably learn because this sounds important. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Like if we have any
on top of
yeah.
Oh yes, sorry to keep you here longer, because I've been reading one of the posts, like actually not one of like a couple of posts online. They say like there's actually no such thing as UDP multithreading. It's like it's not like suggested to use it, because like multithreading is usually does deal with specific client at a time.
Yes.
So that's why I get really confused by what the assignment actually want us to do by multi-threading. Is the multi-threading only for the file transfer? This is like my main question here.
So I don't think there's a requirement like regarding for the multi-threading, isn't it? So it didn't say we have to do the multi-threading, is it?
This is recommended.
Yeah, it's recommended. It says it's like the robust way to do it. So I was like, oh.
Yes, of course, to send the file. So for the most important part for the multi-threading is the TCP connection, right? Because we don't want to get stuck with like we send multiple file at the same time.
But in the assignment, didn't it say we can assume that only one file transfer is handled at the same like at the same time?
No,
it
didn't. We didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
So we may send like multiple file with different client at the same time.
Okay, right.
Yeah, for example, we will send 2 files from 2 different clients at the same time and see if it's working or not. But yeah,
but not within the file transfer process, right? It's like one after another, more like.
We may send it together like at the same time. We just press for the like transfer command, upload command, and then we press the enter at the same time.
Oh, okay, I see.
So yeah, I will have more details in the following weeks.
To me, that multi-threading is like running multiple instances of the server. Like, for example, when you've got classes, like in programming, in object-oriented programming, how you've got classes, which are like templates for objects, like the skeleton, the template for an object, and then from that class you can create an object. Like to me, kind of the multi-threading is, it's kind of like allows you to create multiple instances of an application. So like, for example, if you have your server application, when you're using the multi-threading, you can create multiple instances of that you can create multiple instances of that server where one connection is for each instance of that server.
Yeah, I understand that. But like what I was confused about is whether it works with UDP, but now I do understand that, oh, we only need that for file transfer only, which makes like a lot more sense. Because UDP should not be like, you know, having too much client-side info, I guess. Well, like to my understanding, it might be wrong. So, yeah.
Don't worry too much. Start from beginning. If you have any like specific question, just come to the help session. We still have like 5 sessions.
Oh, Ray.
Yeah, because.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you go.
Ah, thanks. Just with the uploading, if 2 clients upload and it's a big file, is there a time limit in the tests? Like,
I don't think so.
Okay, so if the second client in my case waits a bit and then uploads, that's still okay.
Yeah, because in your case, it's just not multi-threading, but so it may take longer time, but it's still working. So I think you can get most of the marks, but I'm not sure like if there is a time limit, but like in your server and client, things very reasonable. Like the time is not very important.
Okay, great, thank you. That's all the questions from me. Thanks a lot, Ree, and thanks for staying after 8 o'clock. I really appreciate your help.
Okay, I will see you like very soon if you have any question. Just feel free to come to the labs.
Yes, great. Thank you, Ree. Have a great evening.
Okay.
Yep,
yeah.
Thank you so
Do you
much.
still have another question?
So once again, thanks for your help. I will give it a shot and try and get the multi-threading done for the UDP, and then I might come back on Friday, depending on how I'm going.
No problem. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. I'm going to close the meeting right now.
Thank you so much.
Okay, see you.
Yeah.